Hey everybody, welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo O. Today is a day we finish a book, so it is a all-pow day. That means we're done, we're finished, we're kaput. The day, the book is going to be over. We're finished with Ecclesiastes. So sad, such a good book, so fun to get into, but hey, you know, that's what we do here, is get through books of the Bible, certainly learn a lot about God in the process. And my name's Bo Willett, and you could always check out the archives at my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Bo Willett. And you can see all the books of the Bible there, and we just kind of roll through them. Kind of interesting. What we find is that the Bible has so much more in it than really what we've ever thought. And this book's a great example of that. Who would have thought a book in the Bible would be a very existential book? A book kind of with all these questions of really, where's God, and what is the meaning of life, and what's the purpose of it all? And you know, it seems like we're all chasing after the wind, that we're all just delaying the inevitable. And you never would have really thought a book in the Bible would be like this, but the Bible is about truth. It's about the holiness of God, and the Bible's also about the, if you will, the struggle, the continual struggle of human beings in their fallenness. And Ecclesiastes is a book that just describes our fallenness oh so well. Kind of our thought life, you know, what we think about all the time. Why is that person, you know, in government? Why he doesn't seem like he knows anything. Like, but how does that person get rich and get there, and yet a person who's doing the right thing is not doing is poor? You know, we have all this idea of injustice and things ain't right, and the book just shines those questions over and over. But let's see how it ends. Chapter 12. Don't let the excitement of youth cause you to forget your Creator. Honor Him in your youth before you grow old and say life is not pleasant anymore. You know, start young, right? that's the idea. Start learning about God really young. And I think there's some like statistical kind of facts to that as well, that people that tend to learn about Jesus early tend to stay with Jesus in their life, where it's a little more difficult when you're older. But it's certainly not impossible. Nothing's impossible with God. But here's just a neat observation that Solomon gives out, and maybe I need to invest more in younger people. And that's where I could, in a sense, help them out. So many young people obviously are quite muddled. It only takes a little bit of YouTube to kind of see that the younger generation has a lot of anger in them, and a lot of frustration, and they're very confused over a lot of things. And so invest in them, right? And it says, hey, when you grow older, you might realize that, hey, you might become cynical, right? The world's not pleasant anymore. Man, the harsh realities of life. Remember him before the light of the sun, moon, and stars is dim in your old eyes, and rain clouds continually darken your sky. Hey, tell us, just how sad it is to be older now, Solomon. Boy, he really sees things in a bummer kind of way now that he's older. And he says, remember him before your legs, the guards of your house, start to tremble, and before your shoulders, the strong men stoop. Remember him before your teeth, for few remaining servants stop grinding, and before your eyes, the women looking through the windows see dimly. Basically, before all your faculties end, right? You might as well, remember your Creator. Try to grow in your walk with God, have good thoughts and all that stuff, have a good time. Because when you get older, it's all just done. A lot of us get scared of that kind of thought, too, of growing old. And we go, man, what a scary thing. But it's a necessary thing in the faith, right? To trust God through even the most difficult times. And I always say it that some of the things I learned most from my parents are how to die. And man, the courage that they both yielded to and just exemplified was unreal. Super powerful, will always stay in my mind. Remember him before the door of life's opportunities is closed and the sound of work fades. Now you rise at the first chirping of the birds, but then all the sounds will grow faint. Hey, your hearing will go as well. The idea, though, is, while it's called today, don't harden your heart. And that's a New Testament passage, but that's the principle that you see here. We live right now, and today's the day to make a decision. So make it. Make the decision for God, to learn about God, to grow in your walk with God, to even ponder the things of God, to really seek out truth. Jesus says if you seek, you will find. It's just taking that willingness to really take that step forward, to really seek the Lord. So he says, remember before you become fearful of falling and worry about danger in the streets, before your hair turns white like an almond tree in bloom, and you drag along without energy like a dying grasshopper, and the cranberry no longer inspires sexual desire. Remember him before you near the grave, your everlasting home, where the mourners will weep at your funeral. So, man, pretty sad, right? Before your funeral, before your memorial, what's the whole point? It says, don't forget your Creator, right? Honor him in your youth before all these things take place. So it's the opposite of that idea of sow your wild oats and then come to the Lord. Solomon says, no, you should come to the Lord right now and before all these things happen. Because you don't know if you're going to get to a place where your faculties you ain't going to be able to come to the Lord. Maybe your body your mind will go or something will happen like that. So today is the day. There's an urgency there, right? To make the decision today, man. Don't hold off on these kind of things. So it's neat that Solomon mentions this kind of very popular idea of sowing your wild oats and then making a decision for God later on when you're all done partying, kind of thing, where Solomon just reverses that and says, no man, I've done it. It's not the right way to go. It's much better to get it right early. And this really helps people too. Like, some people are bummed at their testimonies because they're like, man, I came to God when I was young and it's not as radical as yours and this kind of thing, and Solomon seems to say, no, it's awesome, man, you came to the Lord young. Yeah, you don't need to go do all that stuff because you don't know what's going to happen when you do it, right? You go have an encounter with someone, you pick up a disease. You go, do something crazy, you die. You don't know what's going to happen. Kind of helps me think, too, today of just don't procrastinate. Make the decisions, do the right thing today. Yes, remember your Creator now while you are young, before your silver cord of your life snaps and the golden bowl is broken. Don't wait until the water jar is smashed at the spring, at the pulley is broken at the well, for then the dust will return to the earth, and then the spirit will return to God who gave it. Everything is meaningless, says the teacher, completely meaningless. Ooh, bummer, right? Keep this in mind. The teacher was considered wise. He taught the people everything he knew. He listened carefully to many proverbs, studying and classifying them. The teacher sought to find just the right words to express truths clearly. Interesting about Solomon, very dedicated, wanting to be articulate, wanting to study, wanting to hear the different wisdom around the world. Put it all together, collect it, And it says, these words of the wise are like cattle prods, painful, but helpful. The collected sayings are like a nail-studded stick with which a shepherd drives the sheep. Okay, got it. But meaning it doesn't feel good, obviously, but, it moves it in the right direction. And that's the point of the book. Is that you need to be pushed in the right direction. What's the direction? That you need a Savior, right? That everything that goes on under the sun, it's pretty vain without the Lord. It says, but my child, let me give you some further advice. Be careful, for writing books is endless and much study wearies you out. That's true too. You can get in the books and get in the books and get in the books, but then you find the result of that is just a lot of tiredness, a lot of exhaustion, and maybe even a lot of depression too, right? From all that reading, all that studying. Maybe it's not helping you. And he says, that's the whole story, and here's my final conclusion. So this is where he finally ends. Fear God, obey his commands, for this is everyone's duty. God will judge us for everything we do, including every secret thing, whether good or bad. Hey, ends on a note. This is the end of it all. Hey, you want to go do your thing? You want to go live your life? You want to go do everything your way? Well, this is the real end of it all, right? God's going to judge us. You're going to be accountable to everything you do and everything that's secret as well. Everything we are going to be held accountable to with God, right? The greatest thing we could do is fear God, have a reverence for God, honor his word, right? And that's kind of the nub of it. What Solomon finally gets to the very end, to the crux of the matter, to the, conclusion. He says, after everything I've seen in life, all the ups and downs, everything that's gone on, everything I've ever witnessed in my life, he says, the end of it is, man, to fear the Lord, to keep his commandments, trust in God, right? Do what he says. Listen to him as your ultimate authority, instead of listening to that other person or that other thing as your ultimate authority. Don't listen to that other philosopher. Listen to God. Don't listen to your pop star, or, your Hollywood entertainment person. Listen to God. This is what Solomon's observing. Why? Because he says everything will be accounted for. There is a life after death. There is an accountability for our time here. This is, in a sense, the time of testing, so to speak. And that's an important idea, because if you're not accountable, then what? Right? What if there's no accountability? Then what do? Everything. Whatever you want. We certainly can become super narcissistic, that's for sure, in a culture that doesn't have any accountability. Accountability's tough on us humans. We don't like it. It restrains us. It makes us think twice when we have accountability. Maybe even 3 times, right? Having accountability seems like it can be a real downer. But what Solomon observes is actually having that accountability can really free us to really walk in love, to really walk in a way that is not narcissistic, not all about us, but we start thinking of other people and what is best for them. Some societies lose this entirely, and everything becomes about the individual. Maybe that's where we're at as a society. Maybe our society needs to read the book of Ecclesiastes once again and see that we too just are going the same route as Solomon, living for pleasure, living for jobs, living for money, living for fame, all the things that we do. And yet we still find ourselves depressed, suicidal, just really with a lot of mental problems. And maybe we're not going the way of freedom at all, right? Maybe that's what Ecclesiastes is teaching us. We're going the totally other way, right? So, a very important book in our Bible. It's one that we should read over and over at times, just to realize, that this is the way we think as humans. This is a very common way of looking at the world. And if you ever wonder what people are thinking, it's probably in the book of Ecclesiastes, right? So we say bye to the preacher, and, and we will, wish Solomon the best, right? Wow, what a teacher he certainly is. So, hey, Tina, yes, last night was a late one, but it was a good one, that's for sure. Paula says we've learned so much in our daily devos, and she will continue definitely listening to God. It's a conscious effort. That's so true. Absolutely. Everything in us wants to go our own route. So you guys take care. Have a great weekend. Have a great 4th of July. I won't be in next week. And then I'll catch you guys around, the 8th, 9th, somewhere in there. I don't know, somewhere around there, the 2nd week of July. And I'll be 1 year older, too. So you guys take care, okay? Bye-bye.